he can't hack. So there's a rise early in the sack. I thank God I'm a country boy.
You ever stop to think how a single flick of a switch could bring down one of America's most beloved voices? Picture it. The man who made us all sing about country roads cruising above the Pacific in a tiny home-built plane, unaware that a stubborn fuel valve is quietly counting down the seconds of his life. It's a gut-punch twist to the story of John Denver, the gentle troubadour we thought had nothing but blue skies ahead. John Denver, born Henry John Deutschendorf Jr., if you can wrap your tongue around that, showed up on New Year's Eve, 1943, in Roswell, New Mexico. His dad flew jets for the Air Force, so the family hopscotched from base to base. That constant uprooting could have made any kid feel adrift. But for young John, it stirred a lifelong romance with wide-open spaces. At 11, his grandmother handed him a beat-up guitar. Suddenly, the lonely motel rooms and endless highways came with a soundtrack. By college, he was strumming folk songs at Texas Tech, daydreaming about mountains instead of algebra. He finally ditched his mouthful of a surname, picked Denver, because, come on, that's skyline, and pointed his car toward Los Angeles. Everything changed in '69 when he penned Leaving on a Jet Plane. Peter, Paul, and Mary turned it into a smash, and John realized, hey, maybe folks want to hear the guy who wrote this thing sing it too. The 1970s hit like fireworks. Take Me Home, Country Roads, Rocky Mountain High, Annie's Song, Sunshine on My Shoulders, and Thank God I'm a Country Boy. That warm tenor wrapped around an acoustic guitar felt like sitting on a porch swing while the sun set over rolling hills. And just when you thought he was only good for sing-alongs, Hollywood rang. He traded verses with George Burns in the 1977 comedy Oh God, proving he could hold his own opposite a legend armed with nothing but a smile. Success didn't dull his curiosity. If anything, it cranked the volume. Denver leaned hard into causes that mattered. He pushed for cleaner rivers and greener forests, testified in Congress against censoring music, and even cheered on NASA's moonshot dreams. For him, saving a forest or funding a space shuttle were chapters of the same story, keeping wonder alive. Aspen, Colorado, became his sanctuary, a high-altitude playground where he could sip coffee on a deck and actually see the landscapes that filled his songs. In '74, Colorado named him Honorary Poet Laureate. Not bad for a military kid who once lugged his life in cardboard boxes. On the home front, love was complicated. Picture-perfect lyrics don't guarantee picture-perfect endings. He married Annie Martell in 1967, and their story seemed ripped from a Hallmark snow globe. One day on a ski lift, he scribbled Annie's Song in 10 minutes flat, basically bottling pure devotion between chords. They adopted 2 kids, Zachary and Anna Kate, and for a while John swore fatherhood was his greatest hit. But the spotlight's glare can fry even the strongest bond. By 1982, the marriage cracked under the weight of relentless touring and newfound fame. That frustration climaxed in one unforgettable image, Denver sawing the marital bed in half to divvy up belongings. Sharp metaphor, sharper chainsaw. He tried again in '88, marrying Australian actress Cassandra Delaney. They welcomed daughter Jessie Bell, but the sequel fizzled even faster. By '93 it was over, and Denver bitterly joked he'd been made a fool from one end of the valley to the other. Behind the folksy grin was a man who felt joy just as intensely as heartbreak. Which brings us to October 12, 1997, over the glassy waters near Monterey Bay. Denver climbs into a Rutan Long EZ, an experimental plane he loved tinkering with, straps in, and takes off. Half an hour later, fishermen watch in horror as the craft spirals into the sea. Early whispers blamed pilot error or maybe booze, but toxicology cleared alcohol. What investigators did find was maddeningly simple. A hard-to-reach fuel selector valve set to an empty tank. Denver had complained about that awkward placement before. Combine that with design quirks never fully disclosed, and the engine starved mid-flight. One wrong switch, no second chances. It wasn't a Hollywood conspiracy. It was neglect, frustration, and plain old human fallibility converging at 500 feet. Learning that doesn't erase the sunshine in his melodies, but it complicates the chorus. The guy who sang about soaring felt the same gravity we all do. Demands of fame, messy divorces, bouts of sadness. His tragedy fired up conversations about stricter rules for home-built aircraft and better pilot training. Even in death, Denver set off ripples that might save lives. A final encore he never planned, but surely would have endorsed. So next time Country Roads sneaks on the radio, listen close. Behind that easygoing strum is a reminder. Wonder and risk travel side by side. John Denver chased every horizon, musical, environmental, even cosmic, knowing full well the sky can lift you up or swallow you whole. Now, if this journey through his highs and heartbreaks hit you right in the feels, smash that like button, share it with a fellow daydreamer, and tap subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into the legends we thought we already knew. Until then, keep your fuel valves checked and your eyes on the mountains.